the capital formation that is necessary to drive the economy, like agriculture, food security, innovation, technology advancement, must be an inclusive program of the entire world.
In this episode, we delve into the first three pillars of the Renewed Hope Agenda: reforming the economy, strengthening national security, and boosting agriculture. These initiatives are fundamental to building a foundation for sustainable growth, stability, and prosperity. Economic reform is the cornerstone of any nation's development. A robust economy not only fosters prosperity, but also ensures that the benefits of growth reach every citizen, creating an inclusive society. In Nigeria, the need for economic reform has never been more urgent, and that is why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, true to his campaign promise, hit the ground running by announcing the removal of subsidies on his inaugural address.
The first subsidy is gone.
One of the most significant steps taken was the withdrawal of the unsustainable fuel subsidy, saving Nigeria billions of dollars annually. Redirecting these funds towards critical sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure has bolstered national development efforts and laid the groundwork for long-term prosperity.
Of the 10 most populous countries in the world, which Nigeria is one, we have the lowest GDP. It looks no-brainer that if I can begin to fix these things, activity will resume, transportation will pick up, economic activity, creative activity will pick up. So what are we doing? We are, as part of the Renewed Hope Agenda, focusing on what is the inclusiveness drive that can make every constituent part of this country to be supported with domestic production.
What the government is doing differently, you can only see if you're truly interested in the development of your society, which is why we need to move away from the notion of what's in it for me. Of course, it starts from you, but for you to truly make gains, you have to see what the entire society has to offer.
The power sector reform aims to sustain electricity subsidy to the majority of Nigerian consumers, while redirecting resources towards productive sectors of the economy.
On the oil and gas side, primarily what I've been focused on for him is really around the restoration of investor confidence in our markets. Same on the power side, focused on most of the sort of commercially driven, financially driven initiatives that can improve the power sector liquidity.
To mitigate the transitional pains of fuel subsidy removal, comprehensive intervention programs have been launched, including wage awards, infrastructure support funds, and conditional cash transfers. Over the past months, President Tinubu has proved himself as a chief salesman for Nigeria, crisscrossing the globe to boost Nigeria's image, foster international partnerships, and attract the needed foreign direct investment to our country. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. National security forms the bedrock upon which all other developmental efforts rest. Without peace and stability, economic and social progress remains elusive.
Basically, one of the first rules of the armed forces is to secure the territorial integrity of Nigeria.
Ensuring the safety and security of all Nigerians is paramount to the Renewed Hope Agenda. President Tinubu has made the fight against insecurity a top priority, recognizing the urgency of the situation and the multifaceted nature of the challenges facing the nation.
Sustain continuous training not only on the aspect of operations, combat, but also on humanitarian rules of law, human rights protection, because we know if the people we're protecting are not happy with us, then we're losing our battles, and that's why it's very critical. And we've been able to achieve that. That's why we had the best of support from the Northeast, and that's what we're now transcending down here for us to understand that we need to work together as a team. Before now, sometimes we used to have issues where even within the services had rivalries that have been eliminated. We have done that because everybody now has a sense of belonging in what is going on, and everybody knows that he has a role to the successes we're doing.
Insecurity in some places because farmers couldn't get access to their farmlands. But I'm happy to say that some states are reporting a reduction of the insecurity. Katsina has reported almost a drop about 70%, except for the soft target that the bandits employ. Zamfara is cultivating around the Bakulori Dam, and even Sokoto, the Goronyo axis is accessible to some of our farmers now.
Through investments in modernization and equipping of security agencies, significant strides have been made in combating terrorism, banditry, and other threats to national security. The release of hostages, neutralization of hostiles, and arrests of terrorists demonstrate the administration's commitment to securing the lives and properties of every Nigerian.
The criminal elements have been pushed back. They keep changing location, but our security agencies are tracking them, hunting them down, eliminating them, ensuring that Nigeria is safe for all of us.
We're not where we want to be, definitely. But, I mean, the air is there. Everybody can feel it that, look, there are changes. It's not how it used to be before. Before, there was so much impunity. Some people felt they were untouchable and they could do it. Now, everybody knows. You cross the line, you go in for it, and that's what we're doing. And we are taking care, we're making sure that our responses are measured professionally. We don't just go about, the asymmetric warfare is such that you cannot even go around killing everybody, unlike the conventional. And if it was the conventional type, I'm sure by now we'll have finished all Boko Haram, because we'll just carpet bomb everywhere, flatten everybody and start all over. But we can't do that these days. There are situations where we call for fire, the aircraft goes, and because he sees civilian, and the terrorists knowing that we try to avoid those things. So once they see they use human shield, and also that affects, so we have to slow down until we're sure of who we're hitting and what we're doing. So generally, I know it has improved. It will continue to improve. The trajectory for this crime and criminality is such that it starts from just petty stealing, robbery, goes up to banditry, kidnapping, goes up to insurgency, goes to terrorism. Now, that's the peak. When you get there and then they are being defeated, it comes back through that cycle, back to petty crime and abduction. And that's where we are now, because so it has become a social issue. People feel when they make money. And that's why you see sometimes you see in a family, a brother would kidnap his sister or his niece or his cousin. We had a situation where somebody even kidnapped himself. So people are just looking for money, and that's why it's important. Law and order makes that difference.
The goal is not only to quell immediate threats, but also to create an environment where citizens can live without fear and insecurity. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. National security forms the bedrock upon which all other developmental efforts rest. Without peace and stability, economic and social progress remains elusive.
In July 13th, 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared an emergency on food.
That decision was in sync with the renaming of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
We must ensure that our citizens have food to eat, always in the right nutritional content, not just any kind of food. Because when you give somebody gari, yes, it may fill his stomach, but if he keeps eating gari every day and there is no protein inside, the guy will continue to go lean. His brain may not work optimally. So what he is looking at is perfect food security, which means food in the right nutritional content.
We have done our plan and we are moving swift into areas, states, and communities that needs our intervention.
So what we did at that time was that how do we impact on the food supply chain? And the only way we thought of was to ramp up production. So we said, okay, let's tackle the dry season. And that was how we started with the wheat, for instance. Our local demand in Nigeria is 6 million tons of wheat every year. Our local demand for rice is 9.5. So the difference between rice and wheat is not much. And we don't look at wheat as, because wheat has to be processed before it becomes food. But wheat is spaghetti, wheat is flour, wheat is bread, wheat is biscuit, wheat is gala on the traffic. That gala bread that people buy, that is wheat. And so wheat is an essential part of our diet. So we decided to say, look, let's try and also be self-sufficient in wheat.
If you go to Jigawa State, and I keep going back there because I led a team of the federal government communications team, which I had, those in the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, and those that are operating within the presidency itself. I brought them all together, and we went there to see firsthand what has our agricultural policies, how has it fared, especially in the last 1 year. And we met with the farmers in a town hall, and all of them, in fact, some farmers were saying they don't need anything more than this. You know, fertilizers are being provided. You know that the central bank only recently gave out over 2.1 million bags of fertilizer associated fertilizer to farmers. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is also coordinating the 100 billion naira agricultural fund and so many other funds.
Our target then was, initially target was 70,000 hectares. And we got funding from the African Development Bank, thanks to the president there, in collaboration with our president, President Bola, Ahmed, Tinubu. We got the funding and we targeted, the initial thing was 70,000. We said, let's go higher. And we targeted 120,000 hectares. Jigawa alone took 40,000 out of the 120. I must say today that Jigawa has harvested over 55,000 hectares of wheat. And we have today in our markets harvested wheat of over 100,000 hectares of wheat. And we intend to do much more than what we did this year, later in the year in 2024, 2025 dry season.
The kind of revolution that is happening, especially in dry season farming, is amazing. Farmers have never had it this good.
As we conclude this part, we've seen the significant strides made in reforming the economy, strengthening national security, and boosting agriculture. In Part 3, we will continue exploring the remaining points of the Renewed Hope Agenda. We will delve into unlocking energy and natural resources, enhancing infrastructure and transportation, and focusing on education, health, and social investment. Join us as we examine how these efforts are shaping the future of our nation.
But the first section of Coastal Road, similar thing, on concrete, not asphalt, is 4 billion.
They are criticizing, why is this money is too much, blah, blah. Lagos-Calabar Highway is an economic game changer for the entire nation.
We're too quick to criticize, we're in a hurry. Miracle must be performed.